Ask charity chiefs and they'll tell you the same thing with a smile. She's self-effacing, wickedly witty, very prepared, occasionally blunt, and entirely uninterested in taking the spotlight she helps others earn. It's why those who work at the sharp end, disability advocates, early years specialists, relief coordinators, treat and visit like rocket fuel. She doesn't sprinkle fairy dust, she hands over questions, contacts, momentum. Which makes the contrast so stark, a woman who refuses to be the story, tripped by a line that never should have seen daylight. The irony writes itself. But there's another layer to this that shouldn't be missed. In a year where the monarchy has navigated the king's cancer treatment, a slimmed-down frontline, and a public hypersensitized to any sign of wobble, even tiny errors clang louder. The brand is continuity, the mood is scrutiny. That's the climate in which a single sentence on a single web page becomes a mini-crisis, not because the public can't forgive typos, but because it expects the crown to be the last place they happen. And yet Anne's response, not with words, but with work, is the antidote. No flounce, no veiled rebuke, no back-channel briefings. Just a portrait, a packed schedule, and strict instructions to staff. No fuss. It's the same steel that saw her back out on duty less than 3 weeks after a frightening incident at Gatcom earlier this year. It's the same ethos that kept her shoulder to shoulder with her brother when he needed cover. It is, in essence, why even critics of the royal machine tend to tip their hat when her name comes up. She stands still so the job can move. Look a little closer and you see how that steel was forged. Anne's public life began young and at pace, engagements from her teens, the presidency of Save the Children at 20, field visits where the cameras were scarce and the learning curve was steep. Long before soft power was a buzzword, she was practicing it, turning up in flood-hit towns, speaking the language of vets at agricultural shows, taking handwritten notes at science and engineering briefings and then grilling the room with the sort of practical questions that cut right through to results. It is not glamorous, which is exactly why it works. There's also the legend that quietly formed her public myth, the attempted kidnapping in the 1970s, where her cool-headed defiance under pressure became part of royal law. Add in her Olympic equestrian credentials, and you start to understand why courtiers joke that if you want something done, give it to Anne and then get out of her way. This is not a woman who needs a fun facts page. Her facts are widely known and, more importantly, widely felt in the organizations she lifts. So what actually happens inside the palace after a stumble like this? First, containment. Pull the page, stop the spread. Second, verification. Rebuild the biography line by line against primary sources, strip out the fluff, restore formal tone. Third, governance. Narrow the funnel, raise the bar, retrain the hands on the keyboard. In other words, fewer hands, tighter drafts, stronger checks. The institutional memory of Windsor is long. Nothing motivates like the fear of repeating a preventable mistake. And while the digital team tightens screws, the princess quietly resets the focus. Her charities are where she will put the spotlight, not on a cake, but on causes. Expect her to keep showing up in places that rarely make the glossy reels, a spinal unit sensory garden, an RDA championship where every rider's progress is logged and prized, a Save the Children project where the conversation is about measurement, not messaging. She does value for time better than most CEOs. 10 minutes with and is 10 minutes of concentrated bandwidth. There's also a quiet symbolism in how her birthday will actually be marked. A portrait to archive, a working event at the palace built not around her, but around the people she supports, and a whispered brief to aides to keep the trumpets muted. It's not that she dislikes celebration, it's that she dislikes waste. In a year when the monarchy is asking the public to see purpose over pageantry, she is the proof of concept. Will the website fiasco fade? Of course, the internet burns bright and forgets fast. But the lesson will linger in the corridors. Accuracy is the crown jewel of communications. Get the facts wrong and you cheapen the whole display. Get them right and align them with the deeds of a royal like Anne, and the institution looks exactly as it wants to be seen: steady, useful, real. Your turn. Should the palace lean into fewer, better online moments for royals like Anne, or is the digital shopfront too important to pull back now?